Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show. Welcomed again this week by none other than this is Jennifer Hancock, ladies and gentlemen. And Jennifer is nice enough and kind enough to assist us on some of our women's features. And of course, Jennifer, actually, she's not that kind. She actually enjoys getting out here shooting. But we're very pleased to have you today. How are you today?
Good, good, doing good.
Okay. Well, we have a great show for you in store. We've had since our program last week, we've had quite a bit of correspondence about our Shootin' Show Social Club. We'll be talking about that later on in the show. But certainly we're going to look for all kinds of things, anything we can do to help our audience. Well, hey, you can just about count on us doing it. We're between rain showers out here, and yeah, my glasses are fogging up.
Very humid.
It is.
Very humid.
Yeah, in fact, this is the last part of February as we're taping this. Oh, I guess it's 85, so.
Feels like 100. I think the humidity factor is 110%, so.
Well, but we're still glad to be here this afternoon shooting, absolutely. Well, Kurt has another great piece on the program today. I know you're going to enjoy that. The judge is in, who knows, he's west. He's points west, but he'll be back next week. So we're looking very forward to him. And yeah, my glasses are fogging up. Looking very forward to him getting back. And of course, we'll be talking about a number of things on the program today. We do have a great show for you. So anyway, let's let another Shootin' Show begin.
Now wait a minute, Johnny. I didn't come out all this way out in the wilderness for nothing. I'm Jennifer.
Now wait a minute. Jennifer she lives in a larger rural town.
Yeah.
But I guess this is sort of country compared to where you live.
Compared to where I live, and I love it, but it is, you have to admit, quite a ways out here.
Well, it certainly
From the big city.
works for us, I'd like to say. Anyway, I'll be very pleased to have you open today's program. You have a Wesson 357 Magnum there, one of your favorites, I believe.
Yes, definitely.
And I think we have some Corbin ammunition, so yeah, let's let Jennifer open today's program.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Jennifer Hancock. We've got some great things in store for you today, so stay tuned. Let us get our earplugs in and our sunglasses on, and let's start the show.
Jennifer, we had already talked. I mean, you didn't have to just start over. You know, that's right. Yes, ladies,
I
yes.
thought you might like that better. I don't get to do a whole lot of intros, so I come out here all this way. And
Okay. Well,
I like to talk.
Yes, indeed. Let's start another program.
Some good ear protection, eye protection, some Corbin ammunition, and a good gun. Let's see what happens. Woo! Gosh, all in a day's work.
Now, friends, we're looking at an interesting handgun today. This is a Taurus PT-101 AFS in 40 Smith & Wesson chambering. And yeah, I got to take those glasses off because I can't see from the humidity. Yes, it is foggy. And remember, anytime we're going to shoot, you'll see both of us put our glasses back on because there's just no sense in taking a chance. Anyway, and we're hoping the weather's going to ease up. The sun's out right now. Maybe it'll get down to at least bearable humidity before too long. Anyway, this Taurus is based on the Beretta design. You know, years ago, Taurus had, when Beretta was building guns for the Brazilian military, Taurus wound up with the equipment. And after the contract was over with, Beretta sold their equipment, or at least whichever, to the people at Taurus, and they continued to make the same gun. Well, it's basically a good design. It's based on the Walther type. It has the twin locking lugs that ride up and lock into the recesses here in the slide. It is an open slide design. We'll look at that a little closer in just a moment. But there's something else that sets this gun apart. One, the 101 has the adjustable sights, whereas the 100 has the fixed sights. This gun has a stainless slide. It looks like a standard aluminum frame here without any anodizing or bluing whatsoever. And it's a very attractive gun. Now, what makes this gun different from most of the others that you see on this program, it also has a beam shot laser sight fixed to it, and it has a very nice mount here on the trigger guard, and the laser switch here is underneath your finger, so all you have to do is squeeze it. Now we're going to look at the laser in just a minute, but this Taurus 40 caliber is really a very nice handgun. The 40 caliber, of course, approximates the 45 ACP in power. This gun holds 11 in the magazine, And this was a pre-ban magazine. This gun was made before the ban, so I assume that all of the new magazines for any of the Tauruses, regardless of caliber, won't be over 10 rounds, thanks to your government and their lunacy. But hey, we're working on that. We're working on that. We're working on cutting down the number of idiots up there. But anyway, and the fight has only begun. You know, I mean, we're being charitable when we call them idiots, because an idiot is someone that maybe can't learn or can't understand.
Right.
The bad news is a lot of these people do understand, and they don't want us to have these firearms. So maybe we should call them something else. Certainly gun grabbers. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, this is a very nice combination. A lot of us got to know when it was strictly a 9mm, and in the 40 it's of course quite a bit more powerful than a 9. The 40, as we had mentioned earlier, approximates 45 ACP ballistics. No, I don't think they're better than a 45. They're just different. And you do have the capability, of course, of the tremendous Corbon ammunition, which will turn this 40 Taurus roughly into a .357 Magnum with the great Corbon ammunition. But it is a successful design. They're very not likely to jam or malfunction, whichever, because of the open top slide. Now, some people like the open top slide and some don't. I understand that in Desert Storm, some of the Berettas that we have in the military with a very similar design, it would tend to get sand down in the top of the slide here, and it would gall the barrel. It would mess up the action. But again, not many of us are going to Desert Storm.
Right.
And maybe we won't have to go back, you know. But these are good and reliable guns. They're as reliable as any other semi-automatic. And as I've said 100 times, if I've said it once, not any semi-automatic can jam or malfunction. They all will. If you just shoot them enough. They will do it at some point. Now, one beauty part about the open top slide, they're easy to clear. These guns are also very simple to clean and maintain. Basically a good design. And it has the decocking type safety lever. You can carry this gun in a cocked and safety locked on position, or you can carry it in, you can decock it by depressing the safety all the way down. It has an ambidextrous safety, one on each side. And you can carry it hammer down, safety off, or you can carry it hammer down, safety on. Now, since, and these guns are great for match shooting, because if you don't have a 1911 or don't particularly care for a 1911, and no, everyone doesn't, you know, this is still a high watermark as far as I'm concerned of all semi-automatic handguns, but everyone doesn't care for or carry a 1911, and that's your choice. You know, that's Jennifer here likes revolvers, as do I. So it just depends on what you like, what you have. But these are good guns for match shooting. You can make the major power factor pretty easy with the 40 caliber. And personally, I think I would carry the gun probably in a match where you're going to be doing a lot of shooting that's fast. I would carry it cocked with safety locked on. Since you don't have grip safety, I wouldn't carry the gun like that. I would carry it either hammer down, safety off, or hammer down, safety on. Now, that's how I would. And you make use of your double action capability. That's one of the reasons that I do like a 1911 as far as semi-automatics go, because every trigger pull is the same, but you have redundant safeties. You have a thumb safety, firing pin safety, out of battery safety, and a grip safety. So these are about as safe a mechanism as is possible. But when you don't have all of those mechanisms in place, well then this would make sense to some people. Back to the point, these are very nice guns. The Tauruses have historically been less expensive than a similar gun made by an American company, and their quality levels in the last, I would say the last 10 or so years has really, really come forward. The Taurus quality is about as good as anything you can find. At least that's what we're seeing. And no, they have never bought a commercial on this program. I wonder what's wrong with those people. You know, they ought to buy a commercial with us. Yeah, we're testing our gun anyway. Anyway, we do have a laser sight attached to the gun, and the beam shots are among the better lasers that I've come in contact with. I really like the mount here. Now, personally, I'm not that big a fan of the laser, and yes, I'll probably have some people get mad at me. If you have a laser and you've learned to use it properly, good for you. I think that's great and wonderful. as far as being a do-all, end-all. A lot of people think, well, all I have to do is get a laser for my handgun and I'll just look out there for the beam wherever the heck it may be. Well, friends, it doesn't work like that. We're going to run an experiment in just a moment that I think will illustrate our point. But as you can see, and let's slip our safety glasses on here.
Well, you have real safety sunglasses.
Well, and Jennifer got off down here at the range today without her wraparound glasses, but if you have plastic glasses or sunglasses, which she does, they will often do real well. And of course, there are some out there with polycarbonate lenses that will take a 22 bullet right in the lens and won't let go. So anyway, as we always do, we already have our hearing protection in. If we sound like we're yelling, it's because we have our earplugs
can't hear.
in.
We are yelling.
We are. Well, let's go ahead and put the magazine in the gun. And of course, finger off the trigger. Anytime you load one of these, of course, finger off the trigger. We never touch that trigger till we're ready to shoot. Pull the slide all the way back, and it will apply our safety. Now then, watch it in my hands as I shoot it. And this is standard 40 S&W ammunition. So let's take a couple quick shots. And we're clear. See, not a whole lot of recoil. These are fairly light guns due to the aluminum frame, but it's really not that bad. And we will, of course, apply our safety. So remember, friends, on semi-automatics, on those new shooters, people that don't understand, remember, when you drop that magazine, some people don't understand that the chamber is still loaded. If you had cartridges in the magazine when you quit shooting, and the Taurus is a gun that does not have a magazine safety. All right, you can unload this gun, and look, we've got the magazine out with cartridges. Now watch. It's still cocked. I'm going to pull the trigger to let the hammer down and watch it. See, it was still loaded. And this is how we'll check it. It is certainly unloaded now. This is how so many accidents are happening. I was talking to a police officer the other day about they had just switched over to the double action semi-automatics from revolvers, and I talked to him about my concern, because this is how so many accidents are happening. One, taking a magazine out thinking the gun's unloaded, and two, with double action semi-automatics, you know, a police officer gets out of the car, he's excited, shoots the gun, bang, time or two. Well, that gun is now cocked after you shoot. It's supposed to be. That's how it works. Right. And they'll put it back in the holster. The gun is still cocked, and that's what's happening. They're going off, and of course, a 9mm or 40 or 45 down the leg ruins your day. I mean, it'd be just a terrible thing to happen. So I think that we really need to have much more training on adjusting to the double action semi-automatic. You know, on the 1911s, the Colt types, you have to push that safety off to get the gun to fire. Since you have to do that, and it's the same trigger pull each time, to me it's easier to remember to apply your safety after you get through shooting. And again, we're just trying to prevent accidents. One accident is too many, and accidents are preventable if we just use the tools between our ears.
Right.
So let's take a closer look at our Taurus double action caliber 40 PT-101.
Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, this box of Corbon ammunition and this Wesson 41 Magnum are in fact a perfect match for each other. But it doesn't matter whatever gun you may have, like this SKS or a hunting rifle or a 38 Special or a 9mm, makes no difference, because Corbon is absolutely the best factory ammunition that money can buy, period. And also, friends, when you see a box of Corbin on the shelf, or you give them a call, realize that Corbin is helping keep the shooting show on the air. They've been one of our most dedicated sponsors. You cannot find finer people in the entire shooting industry. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Tell them you saw it on the shooting show. Hello, friends. I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is the sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine. You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on the shooting show. My friend's taking a look at the Taurus PT-101 here. It is a nice package. I do like the grips, and I don't know if these are factory grips or not. They may be Packmeyer's or Uncle Mike's or something, but they are nice grips here on the gun. You can see you have an ambidextrous safety, adjustable sights, and it's a very nice mount on this beam shot laser. Now let's see if we can see that laser out on the target. See the little red dot? I hope you can. There it is. See it? What you have to do, the laser has to be zeroed like a scope, and it will never, remember, the laser itself, you're a couple of inches or so away from the bore center, so it's not going to be right on up close. And remember, the laser is a straight line, so if you zero the gun at 25 yards, it's never going to be on a pinpoint. You're not going to have pinpoint accuracy as far as the trajectory of the bullet versus the laser straight line there, because a trajectory is not a straight line, it's an arc, and the, of course, beam of light here is a straight line. Let me caution you about lasers. You never, ever want to shine the laser into someone's eyes. You never want to look at this because it will burn your eye. Remember, this is what the eye doctors do laser surgery with. I'm sure it's a more powerful version, but you darn sure never, ever want to look down one of these lasers and have that beam hit your eye. It could result in permanent damage to your sight. But back to our gun here. These are nice guns. See the open top slide design. And you have a very nicely finished overall gun. We know this gun's empty. It has a pretty good double action trigger pull, and the single action trigger pull is pretty good. They can be made better, of course, by a qualified gunsmith, but these Tauruses are really excellent guns. Now let's go ahead and put in a magazine like so in the base. Be sure it's all the way in. Pull that slide all the way to the rear and let it go. Well, let's take a couple of shots with it, and we'll see. I'll shine the laser. In fact, the laser on this gun is sighted lower. We're going to go ahead and use the sights. So let's go ahead and do that now. And yes, that 40 has a little more power than the 9mm. And we'll decock it by taking our finger off the trigger, pressing the safety down all the way and letting that hammer safely fall down. And we have a pretty good group there. We're in our tape. Let's ease up and take a look at it. Just for offhand shooting in the humidity like this. Now actually, I was aiming at the piece of dark tape there, but the laser was actually down here, I believe, earlier. So this gun would have to be zeroed. The laser would have to be zeroed just like a scope.
As we were talking earlier, Johnny was telling you a little bit about this gun and how it's part stainless steel and aluminum. One interesting tidbit that I found out, which I really didn't know, stainless steel will rust if it's not properly taken care of. Yeah, so right. So you know, we like stainless steel. We're not saying don't get it. This is a very nice gun. It's a good-looking gun. It's fairly light, like you said, and it shoots very nice. But just make sure that you take care of it because it will rust.
Even the stainless guns require some maintenance. You can't just forget it. Years ago, the first stainless gun I think I saw was about in the mid-60s. Smith & Wesson had the little model 60 38 special, the first one I'm aware of. There may have been others. But everyone thought, well, that's stainless, it won't require any maintenance. Right. Well, that's not true. Stainless steel just doesn't require as much maintenance, say, as a blued gun or Parkerized gun like this Colt 1911. So that's a good point. A lot of people think that they can take stainless and put them around salt water on boats and things, which is true. It does it better than blued steel, but it will corrode, it will rust, so or oxidize, whichever way. Well, friends, let's run a little experiment here. We're going to get Jennifer to be our official timer today, and let's try and make a point. Again, the laser is not an end-all, be-all. It's just a beam of light that we want to zero at our approximate point of aim. As we said earlier, the laser, wherever it's zeroed, well, a foot away from there, it's not going to be pinpoint accurate on anything, simply because it's a straight line and your trajectory of your bullet, especially on a handgun, is not going to be straight. It's an arc. Now then, at the ranges that this is going to be used, a lot of people think about using a laser for home defense at night. Well, that's okay, I guess. Remember, if you're out in a foggy situation, if you're out in your yard, and let's say that you had to face an adversary, well, guess what? In smoke or in fog, that laser is going to show. It's going to run right back to your gun, into your gun, so that may or may not be desirable. We thought back when nobody had these things and they cost $4,000 that the laser was going to be the end-all, do-all, ultimate. Yes, anybody can shoot now. It's just not true. They do require work. An option to a laser sight would be night sights from like Trijicon or MePro Light, some of those people, because that still gives you the capability of your sights. I don't agree what will actually happen if you're looking for the dot. If you're not familiar with it and you look for the dot, see, lasers don't show up on all surfaces. So if it sounds like I'm not that big a fan, that's probably true. It's no substitute for marksmanship or learning to properly shoot your gun. Your laser, in fact, may even slow you down over using something like night sights. Well, let's run a little experiment briefly and just see what happens. Now, Jennifer's holding our Pro Timer here from Competition Electronics, and that is such a neat, friends, you don't know you need one until you've used one. And what it does, it essentially tells you what you're really doing on the range, how long it takes between shots, reaction time. Well, it's helped you a lot, hasn't it?
It has, and that's why we talked about bringing this on the show, and we'd like the viewers to see for themselves just exactly how it works, and we're going to use this with this experiment. So I guess I'm going to be in charge of
yes, you're.
I'm in charge of this.
Friends, you know it always.
The Pro Timer.
You know, women always wind up in charge. That's the way it works, and that's okay. Is that chauvinistic? It's true. Okay. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to run 3 shots, multiple targets here, and I'm going to use the laser. And of course, you know me, Mr. Average. Let's see how long it takes. I'm going to find the dot. They have to be good hits or they don't count. Only hits count, remember that. Go ahead and load our gun. It was loaded, yes, and we treated it so. Pick up our spare shell there. We have a loaded magazine. Remember, see, we had shot the gun a little earlier, but to check it, what I do, I pointed the gun in a safe direction. And yes, there was a shell in the chamber, so everything's safe, proper procedure. Okay, Jennifer's going to time me here. My friends, Jennifer's going to start me here, and I'm going to start from the low ready position. And I'm going to use the laser. I'm close enough that it doesn't matter, it's not exactly zeroed. And when I see the dot, I'm going to pull the trigger. So let's do this, and let's see, compare the times between using a laser and not. And see what it looks like. Get our hearing protection in good. All right, low ready position. Safety off, hammer down. Okay. And we'll push our safety and clear it. How long will it take, Jennifer? 2.34 seconds. All right, friends, what I was doing, this is honest now, I was looking for that dot. I did not pull the trigger, and I had all good hits, all in the circle. So let's try the same drill, 2.34 seconds, and I did what most of you will do with a laser. You'll look for that red dot and it'll register. Now then, I'm not going to use the laser, I'm going to use that front sight this time. Remember, 3 shots, 2.34 seconds. Okay. And we had all good hits. All right, all you have to do is just press the start button again, Jennifer, it'll clear, good. Okay. Ready? Okay.
1.39.
And we did have all good hits. My hit over there is a little high, but it's still a good hit. Well, I was using my front sight. So again, by doing what comes natural and looking for that front sight, see, I speeded up dramatically because as soon as I saw the sight in that circle, I went ahead and shot the gun rather than looking. Now, of course, you can do this. Yes, you can hip shoot, or you can hold the gun out here, you know, and turn the laser on, and yes, you can hit a target. So you can actually hit it. I know I didn't exactly hit it, I barely hit it.
Barely.
Well, you saw my angle of departure. Yeah, barely. But anyway, you can do that, or you can shoot from the hip, you know, turn your laser on and just pull the trigger. There it is. Okay, but it's not as easy as it looks because, one, we still need those 2 hands to steady the gun regardless. And to me, unless you're willing to go out there and work with one of these lasers, I don't really quite see the point. I would personally rather have night sight. The laser companies, they're really building some good lasers now, and they do have their uses, but I'm not sure they're for everyone. They're not inexpensive, but I think it's something that we need to consider a long time. If you're willing to go out and late in the evening or when you can see the laser, that's another thing. You can't see them very well in the daytime. If you're willing to do that, well, that's okay, but it is not something that's going to go out and make you a world-class shooter just because you have a laser on your gun.
Right, and some people think that, and it's a good point what you said a while ago, is that lasers are not, they're not for everybody.
No, they're not.
And you need to know how to, like we said a while ago, the laser is not quite accurate, so you really need to know what you're doing, and especially us ladies need to really get in there and pay attention and really learn how to work this machine, because some people just think, I know I used to think if I saw a laser, well then that's going to go right where it needs to go.
And that's just not so.
It's not so. We proved that a while ago. So.
Well, that's really true. We saw a 25 automatic at the SHOT Show with a laser sight. Now, that's, to me, that's stretching it because the 25 is not a very long-range cartridge. Mm-hmm. Again, I can see it as someone wanting to say, well, they've got a laser beam, and that's where the bullet's going to follow that laser beam. It's not so. You have to zero it just like you would a scope. So we want to do this piece for you. We do thank the good people at Britton's for loaning us. This is very nice Taurus. This is one of their guns in stock over there. So many of the things they have have been owned or pre-owned by someone else, but they really have an excellent stock of good quality used guns, and this is one of them. We do appreciate their help. So anyway, the Taurus PT-101 AFS 40 S&W with a laser sight.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
More and more often, women are faced with protecting themselves and their homes. But another way of protection is through information. And we at the Shootin' Show believe that the New American Magazine has the best information that you can possibly get.
You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, of course, Al Evans, part of our sales team, and we're so pleased that you're doing a good job for the people that you get.
Thank you. You're doing the good job for the people that Bobby and I get to advertise on the program. I tell you, years ago, people said, I don't know if that kind of program will go, but you've done it.
Well, here we are 30 million households a week later,
Yeah.
Yes. I think we sort of made our point on people really do enjoy seeing how these guns work and what they're for.
Yeah, well, we're proving it every day that you've got a big audience, a responsive audience, and the ad that came out, it must have come out just the last day or two in Shotgun News, where we reveal that our potential audience is now 30 million homes a week. And just today we got 2 calls from advertisers, business people, manufacturers who want to advertise on the program because they know that you've got a big, loyal audience.
Well, we do, and friends, it's very expensive doing what we do on this program, and it is so important. And you know that we try and do everything we can to assist our audience. Let me mention the judge, of course, is traveling out west this week as we're doing this program.
Yeah.
But we would like to invite everyone who can vote to please write in Leroy Scott's name for the board of the NRA, because let me tell you what, friends, if we could get him on the board, there will be some changes for the good. Now, you talk about a shakeup. What Newt Gingrich did to the House of Representatives, Leroy Scott would do to the board of the NRA.
Yeah.
So if you would please write his name in, his address, of course, 2620 Centenary here in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I assume his zip code, I don't even know what his zip code.
71104.
Okay, that's right.
71104. Just think 2 passes and a little Joe. 71104. Well,
Right.
I'm thinking about the dice at the river boats here.
Too much time on the boats.
Anyway, let me tell you, you know this, but a lot of the audience doesn't know this, that Leroy Scott and I have been friends for over 30 years. And I know the man to be a fighter for right, just as strong a fighter for right as you are. He fights for all the Bill of Rights, all the Constitution, just like you do all the time.
Well, and I'm just glad that he's on our side, because he would be a formidable adversary.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very thankful that he's on our side, and certainly one of the finest people that we know.
It's a credit to him that the show is as popular as it is.
Oh, sure it is. Sure.
I mean, when we can start advertising for somebody's product and advertise for them for just 4 weeks and get a letter from them detailing 26 states they've already got orders from you.
Yes, wonderful.
People like Leroy, they like you, and his name is just Leroy, or Leroy Scott, 2620 Centenary in Shreveport.
So please, if you would, if you can vote, please write in his name for the board, because let me tell you what, the NRA would be a new organization, and it would get back to doing a lot of things that we think it should be doing now. And we certainly support the National Rifle Association, but they could be better, and he could really be an influence there. Anyway,
I'd like to mention one other thing.
Sure.
We're getting so busy in the advertising department now. This 800 number we have, the 800 Save You Gun number, is just for advertisers to use in staying in touch with us, to be sure that we know their latest products and their new innovations and things like that. We have other numbers for other people to call. Incidentally, I got a call today from a gun club member. The gun club is strong and growing, and he was calling. he's a member in Indiana, but he was calling in from Florida just to be sure that we renewed his membership in the gun club.
And we do need that. And yes,
yeah.
Our staff has been, we're getting some help on our staff. We are behind in some of our book work on some of these things. Bear with us. Thankfully, we're gaining strength to the point that we can get a little help. And Al and Bobby are assisting with the gun club now, and we've got some other help that is coming on, because it's really been a strain, because we deal with people all over North America. And bear with us. We are working out the bugs. We do appreciate every member who has joined our gun club, because, friends, it is so important. And yes, we've been talking about doing our fun gun days now for a year, and we're getting in a position that we will be able to start some of these things. And we had a prototype here recently locally, and it really worked out very well. And we're going to be coming to a number of different places around the country. And of course, we'll give everyone a schedule, and we're going to do as many as we can. And I don't know if we're going to call them fun gun days or not. I think maybe we'll call them firearm safety awareness days, maybe.
That'd be a good name.
And we're going to be doing some things for the local community. There are a lot of things that we do have in mind, and we are working on it. It's been such a tremendous task just doing our program that we have not had the time and the extra help and resources to do a lot of the things that we'd like to do. That's one of the things the gun club does. It helps us stay on the air. It puts us in touch with a dedicated segment of our viewing audience, and it is so important, because we're going to have alerts in different areas through our gun club members, and I believe you're going to be taking care of that as far and it's really something that has been such a huge help to this program. We want you to know how much we appreciate every gun club member, sincerely. And if you want to advertise, we certainly are always looking for more sponsors for our program, because some people are seasonal and they'll come and go. Some stay on all the time. But sincerely, you could not spend a more efficient or better advertising dollar, and that number is, sir,
1-800-728-8486, and that spells Save Your Gun, SAVUGUN. Incidentally, Johnny, since we got that number, people ask us what the number, we tell them, we say that it spells Save Your Gun. I have never failed to get a chuckle out of somebody. They like that because it fits the program. We're trying to help everybody save their gun rights, and that Save Your Gun, advertisers like it, everybody likes it, and we're happy with it.
Well, absolutely. I think that was good. In fact, Al came up with that on Save Your Gun on those numbers, because it's easy to remember. You know, friends, the Shootin' Show is about a lot more than saving guns. It's for preserving our way of life as Americans. And it is, I can think of no more important task than preserving the good things about this country, and there are a tremendous number of good things, and sometimes we lose sight of that. We have a whole lot of people in Washington, D.C., in politics, in local areas, in state areas, that have somehow lost sight of the American dream. Well, we haven't here on the Shootin' Show, and that's one of the things that is so important. We want to preserve our gun rights, and by doing that, by preserving our individual freedom, we can help preserve our country itself. So please, we need whatever help you can be to us. And those numbers, again, 1-800-728.
Right, 728-8486. And I want to say a personal thank you to all the advertisers who support us, because their support is vital.
Absolutely.
Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
You know, friends, Jennifer Hancock here, she is, of course, she does a lot of other things other than help us on the program. In fact, helping us on the show is one of the lesser parts of her schedule. She's very busy. Jennifer is a professional model, and she does all kinds of commercials for newspapers and television things, but we do appreciate her working very much with us. Now, Jennifer here is a college student. She's working her way through college. We have really a lot of admiration for that. And you've been very popular on the program, Jennifer. Jennifer gets a good bit of mail. She has fans out there, and I can understand why, because she's not only a pretty girl, she's also a very nice person. Well, Jennifer has a great picture, and this is something we're going to do. We've had some requests for Jennifer's picture for some of our viewers out there. And really, Jennifer, I don't really blame them, because this is, in fact, a great picture of yourself. And how much? Now, of course, you can't send them out for free, because these did cost her to make them up. But she has a few pictures available. For what are you going to ask for?
I think it's going to be $4.95 plus shipping and handling, which would be $1.50.
$6 total.
Yeah. $6.
Well, no, I'm sorry. So $4.95.
Yeah.
$4.95. So it'll be $6.45.
Right.
Okay, total.
Right. Which is a very good deal considering how much these cost. And I think the first how many did we say? First 100 or 250 will be personally autographed. So.
Well, that's true. Yes, the first 250 she will personally
which will make
autograph.
them priceless soon.
Well, we're glad to do this because, one, a lot of people would really enjoy having Jennifer's picture. This is really a great picture, and we appreciate it so much because Jennifer helps us on the program, and she does it out of the goodness of her heart. You know, the lowest budget national TV program in the history of the world, but we really do appreciate it, and I think that a lot of you would like to have.
They're very nice quality. They're slick.
Yeah.
They're what you would call an 8x10 glossy, but they're not glossy material. But they're nice. They're a little bit thicker than a picture, and they don't get scratches on them and tear up easily.
Well, I think a lot of people would like to have your picture. So how can they get this?
They can write to Jennifer's Picture, P.O. Box 5214, and that's in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the zip is 71135.
Okay, and we'll take MasterCard, Visa, check, money order. If you have a couple hundred rounds of empty brass, send it on. I'll be happy to accept that, as long as it's in 357 or 45 or 41, yes. But no, I think a lot of you would, and Jennifer, we appreciate this is a small thing that the shooting show here can do for Jennifer.
Right, and we also, as Johnny mentioned, we have been getting some letters too. So that's just from people that didn't know whether they could write or not. So we do appreciate your letters, and we encourage that. And if we can get enough in, maybe we'll have a little spot on the show where I will read a few. So we encourage any kind of response, constructive criticism, admiration, whatever you have.
Mostly admiration. I don't think, Jennifer, I really don't think you want. But anyway, we'd be very pleased. And you can write to Jennifer at Jennifer's Picture, Post Office Box
5214, Shreveport, Louisiana, and the zip is 71135, and that's $4.95 plus shipping and handling, and the shipping and handling is $1.50.
Okay, well, I think it's something a lot of people would like to have out there.
The Shooting Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbon is the best there is. Well, friends, we're happy to report, if you will remember from our last installment on the program, we talked about the Shootin' Show Social Club. Well, I'm happy to report that all the response that we've had to this idea has been very positive. And you know, there are a lot of women and men out there who like guns, who like conservative ideals. All the mail I've seen, all the phone calls, everything's been positive. Now, we're working on this. If there would be some way, and you know, like we talked about last week, there are a lot of single people out there that would really appreciate meeting some other people of like mind. There are a lot of women who are conservative, who like guns and like shooting, and there are a lot of men out there who would like to meet those women. Those women would like to meet those men. Don't you agree?
I agree. So we're going to help them do that, right?
Yeah, we're working on it.
We're going to try to help.
We're trying to come up with a formula or some idea here where we can put tremendous numbers of single people, professional people that would the nicest thing in the world you could do for somebody would be put them with, introduce them to someone that they could hit it off with and maybe have a relationship with, because that's what we need. We need, and this is so important. This is for real, friends. We need more lasting relationships among men and women. I mean, we do. We need to solidify our country, and this is a small thing that we can do among our audience. Let's see what we can do. We're working on it, and we would appreciate any more correspondence, what you may think. And this is something that is absolutely the best possible intentions here. But we think it's an idea whose time has come. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people have trouble meeting other people, especially once they get out of college. Now people are sometimes afraid to talk to each other in the workplace. Mm-hmm. So why not? We're working on it. So bear with us, but we would appreciate your correspondence. If you have a thought on that very thing, well, write to us at the Shootin' Show, 554 Kings Highway, Shreveport, Louisiana. That zip code 71104. And we have several ideas and several avenues that we're looking at taking. So what do you think? What did you think when you read some of these things?
I thought it was a great idea, and anything we can do to help to put these people of similar interests together, let's go for it.
Well, I think it'd be great, and we're just hanging there with us, folks. This is another thing that we're trying to do for our audience.
What we'd like to do today is take a look at a gun that's produced by the Colt Custom Shop. The Custom Shop will custom engrave, gold inlay, and make any other kind of features that you might request. What you need to do is contact the Colt Custom Shop in Hartford, Connecticut. They will send you a requisition form in which you write down the kind of gun you're interested in, what custom features you'd like in it. They will make up an estimate, then contact you to get the go-ahead. So we're going to take a look at one of the guns that is available today.
Now what we are looking at is a Colt Peacemaker in .44-40 caliber with custom engraving and gold inlay. It also has several other features. The handles are Ivorex. They're not actually ivory, but they do have the Colt medallion in place. As you can see, there's plenty of engraving. There's gold inlay on the barrel. There's a gold band around the cylinder. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up, but the front sight is actually a horse's head. Going back down the barrel, the hammer is actually a leaping horse. And you can see the horseshoes on the horse itself. Is what's called the staff of Asclepius, which is the actual original symbol for medicine. One snake entwined around the staff of Asclepius, who was the god of medicine. Now this gun is a working Colt. It could be fired, however, with a collectible like this, anytime you fire it, you immediately decrease its value. So it's doubtful that this gun itself will ever see a .44-40 cartridge get fired through it. This is just one of the many examples of fine work that is available from Colt.
And now we would like to welcome one of our good friends here at the Shootin' Show, Art Alphin, who is a former instructor from West Point. I think you're really going to enjoy this piece.
period from 1885 through the start of World War I saw a flurry of activity throughout the industrialized world in the development of the infantry rifle. There were many competing designs, such as Mauser, Lee, Hotchkiss, Krag, Jorgensen, Lebel, Mannlicher, Viterli, Kropotkin, each with its own unique set of advantages and disadvantages. The adoption of any one particular design over another was as much caught up in questions of national pride as it was in superiority of design. Further, many of these designs went up dead-end streets as they were chambered for black powder cartridges, rimfire cartridges, had tubular magazines, or had some other problem. Some of these designs recovered from their problems and got back into the mainstream of development. Others never recovered and simply disappeared from the scene. Even worse, some of these weapons were adopted and issued by the nations involved before the design itself had reached its maximum potential. All of the designs we mentioned were basic variations of the turnbolt design, the idea for which came from the Mauser single-shot breech loader of 1871. By the start of World War I, almost all weapons that had been adopted were bolt action of one sort or another. They all used cartridges with smokeless powder and jacketed Spitzer bullets, and had some sort of integral magazine with charger loading. As a good generic representative of the bolt-action magazine rifle, we have picked the Pattern 17 Enfield. This rifle borrowed a little bit from the Lee, the Mauser, and a few other designs, and was to be, along with the new 276 Magnum cartridge, the British rifle for 1914. World War I put a stop to its issue. The tooling was transferred to the United States, and the rifle was made in .303 caliber for the British from 1915 until 1917, when we entered the war. The tooling was then converted to .30 caliber, and the rifle became general issue for U.S. forces in World War I. Most bolt actions were simple, yet robust. In order to operate, the firer grasped the bolt handle and lifted it, thereby unlocking the bolt. He then drew the handle to the rear, thereby extracting the cartridge in the chamber, and at the rear of bolt movement, ejecting the cartridge out of the weapon. If the rifle was empty, then the follower in the magazine would rise, blocking forward motion of the bolt and telling the shooter that he needed to reload the weapon. The shooter then took his magazine charger, normally a disposable stripper clip holding 5 rounds of ammunition, and placed it in a corresponding notch milled into the receiver bridge. He pressed all 5 rounds downward with his thumb and then discarded the stripper clip. Forward motion of the bolt would then pick up the top round in the magazine, driving it forward into the chamber. Downward motion of the bolt would then lock the weapon. Depending upon design, at some point during the lifting of the bolt handle or the forward motion of the bolt, the cocking piece and firing pin would be cocked and held by the sear. Upon pressing the trigger, the sear was depressed, the firing pin released to go forward and fire the cartridge. The shooter then grasped the bolt handle, lifting it upward, and the cycle started all over again. All bolt-action magazine rifles had some sort of adjustable sights. The most common were like this Mauser, an open sight mounted on the barrel. Though it is ballistically a very good sight, it is actually difficult for the shooter to use. Of the various designs, the best was a peep or aperture sight mounted on the receiver bridge. This placed it close to the shooter's eye. had the longest sight radius, and was the easiest for the shooter to recover his sight picture after he took his face away from the stock in order to work the bolt. In the case of the P-17, this sight was adjustable to 1,600 yards. Normally, however, a shooter was only trained to estimate the range to the target and independently fire at targets to 1,000 yards. Anything over 1,000 yards was normally volley fire with the range and the firing commands given by the squad leader or the platoon commander. In some armies, marksmanship training was given little attention. In others, rifle marksmanship was considered to be the primary soldierly quality. The British are a good example of this. They had learned their lesson in the Boer War, and in the early 1900s, their emphasis on marksmanship made them one of the better armies in the world. The U.S. Army also placed great emphasis on individual rifle marksmanship, and numerous marksmanship exchange programs had been engaged in between U.S. and British rifle clubs since the 1870s, and on an official basis between the armies from the 1900s. In fact, the first Wimbledon Cup was a rifle marksmanship award between the two nations. In those nations that did emphasize individual rifle marksmanship, the sling was not simply a carrying strap, as you use today, but served double duty to help stabilize the weapon during firing. The sling on this P-17 is of such a type. The shooter got into it like this. The sling helps steady the rifle prior to and during discharge, help reduce the movement of the weapon during recoil, and help the shooter reacquire the sight picture. This latter...
Friends, we've run out of time on this week's program for this feature, and we'll come back to it on our next program. Incidentally, if you would like to advertise on the Shootin' Show, you can call us at 1-800-SAVE-YOUR-GUN. That's 1-800-728-8486. Our staff will be very happy to talk to you. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show.